I'm glad I remembered that because it was hard the last time we did that. So I'm recording now. So welcome everybody to our Pearls of Wisdom part 6. Isn't this exciting? Dawn Starr from Tulsa, Oklahoma, my good friend. And I love doing life with you. We have a super great connection. We met in Hawaii, I think, originally, right?
Right.
On a top director trip. And then we connected our daughters, and our daughters became friends and really strong support system. And then her daughter went to FCAV in California, which encouraged my daughter to go there. And as you guys know, she's lived in California for the last year. So we just have really strong connections, a lot of similarities. And I just love this girl so very much. So I'm excited for you to get to know her. And comment below if you have any questions or comments. I'll be watching as we do that. So welcome. Share your story, Dawn.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was working a corporate job and loved it. Planned on working for Texaco in the marketing department. My job was managing 9 Texaco stations. I thought I had it made because I had a company car, an expense account, great salary. Scott and I were newly married, and I wasn't planning on doing anything else. And I got introduced to Mary Kay. And the girl started right away talking to me about selling Mary Kay. And I'm like, oh, no. It just was way not something I thought I was interested in doing. But she was really smart. She was working on going on target for our car. So she was pleasantly persistent. So she invited me to a red jacket event. And I thought, well, that was really fun. And the people were nice. But I still wasn't like, I'm ready to sign. She called and invited my husband and I to dinner. And Scott's a sales type. And we had gotten we newly married, and so the first couple of years we didn't have enough withheld, and then he got some tax, and we ended up owing, and we got some tax advice that we needed to own a home, and we had gotten business. And so the first couple of years, sorry, he said she's doing it, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So for 2 years, he sold more than me. He just told everybody he knew, and he would come home with orders. He wore the cologne. He would come home with orders. And then after I had our daughter Maddie, that is 27, one day I was at work. I was doing Mary Kay Undercover, selling to family and friends, and that was it. And she was sick at daycare, and they were calling me to come pick her up. And it was a big day. We had New York executives coming in. We had all this stuff happening. I couldn't leave work. I called Scott. He couldn't leave work. I called my mom. She couldn't leave work. And I ended up having an aunt pick up my daughter that she hardly knew. And I was like sick about it. So I went and sat at my desk, and I was like, God, what am I going to do? This is not okay with me. And I don't want to ever be in this position again. And it was like, very few times in my life have I had such clear direction. God said, do Mary Kay as a ministry to help women. And I was like, are you sure? Have you ever asked God if he's sure? But I was like, of course you're sure. Okay. So that I surrender all song didn't mean anything until that point. I surrendered and I said, I will do it. So I called my director. She said, you have to come back to a new consultant training. You have to go to career conference and seminar. And I had a conversation with my husband, and since I had a company car, he's like, earn a car with Mary Kay, you can quit your job, because I was making way more than him at this point. So that's what I did. I earned a car in 3 months, quit my job. My boss gave me a lecture why it wouldn't work, and I didn't pay any bit of attention to him. I'm sure my parents thought I was crazy leaving this corporate job that they just paid for a college education for, but they didn't say anything, but I'm sure they thought it. But honestly, you guys, it was like I left the job, and like 2 months later, Shell bought out Texaco in the Tulsa market, and all my friends lost their jobs.
Oh my goodness.
And God was providing provision before I knew I needed it. Is that amazing?
That is amazing. That is an awesome story. Yeah. I knew you were in corporate America, but I did not realize you were in in corporate America. Like that's big time stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, you've never looked back from there, right?
Never looked back. And it was, I had to like leave that job and then treat Mary Kay like I was going to work. And so I just had that mindset. I'm going to get up and get dressed and get cute and work like I'm going to a job. And, like tripled or quadrupled that great corporate salary and have the freedom and flexibility to work around our children's schedule. So we have 2 children. I have a son that's at University of Arkansas that's 20. So wow, to make the incredible income we get to make. And I say I work, now with things the way they were this last year, I was working from home all the time, but I typically work away from home 15 to 20 hours a week and the rest of the time in my yoga pants. So I'm like, hey, this is a great life.
I was kind of thinking that like right now. Like, yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I know you have something that you'd like to share for training. So go ahead and jump into that and I will feed some questions if we have them.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, when you asked me to do this, I'm like, what is something that I like to teach about that really impacted my business that I feel like would benefit everyone on the call? And so what came to mind was a pivotal moment in my career. I was frustrated with where I was at. And I was sitting at a conference and I had my date book and I was just flipping through the date book the past several months and seeing like I felt like I was working, but really seeing how many faces I did. And, it was like 7, 10, 9. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I realized I was doing mostly facials. And I was just sitting there like, okay, like this is not hard. I know how to do this well. And I've got to be in the field working my personal business. And that's going to be the catalyst for everything. Right. And so I was like, okay, what do I need to change? So the only thing I changed was in my script. I was building my business mostly with referrals, so hey, your friend so and so gave you a makeover and you get to share it with up to 6 friends. Would you like to do it would Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday be better for you? And that's all I changed. And I was like, God, I need 10 parties on my books. So I came back from that event and I did a booth and I got 100 contacts and then I had some referrals and I just started doing that. Like if they from the booth and you signed at this event and you get a free makeover with up to you and 6 of your girlfriends, would you like to do Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday? That's all I changed. I just assumed the appointment. And lo and behold, everybody had friends join them. I'm like, why was I making this so hard? This is so simple. And you do this, if you do the math and you like, if I did 30 faces a month, one person at a time, 1 hour, 45 minutes to an hour each person, that's 30 hours. If I do 6 parties of 5 people or 5 parties of 6 people, 2 hours a piece, well, that's a fraction of the time. That's like 10 to 12 hours. And I'm working smarter, not harder. I'm growing my customer base faster. I'm growing my team faster. I'm like, this is so easy. Why was I making it hard? And sometimes we can overcomplicate things, right? But that is the only thing I changed. And I made a decision at that conference. I am going to do 30 faces a month, every single month for 12 months. So I would never tell myself, oh, you can't do 30 faces in May because that's like the end of the school year and everybody's busy because I had small children, and you can't do 30 faces in December because it's Christmas and nobody wants to do anything, and you can't, what I mean? That's the crazy stories we tell ourselves. So I'm like, 30 faces a month every single month, and it was so easy, and it totally transformed my business, and it gave me like renewed energy, plus a lot of cash and new team members. And so I'm like, okay, this is easy. Don't think it's hard, because if we think it's hard, then it is, right? And if we think it's easy, then it's easy. So I just pray over my, before I make contact with people, I'm like, Lord, have the right people say yes and the wrong people say no. And you're protecting me with the no. So if I can't make a difference in our life and if nobody's going to buy anything, nobody's going to become a customer, nobody's going to recruit, if it's not going to impact our life, have her say no, because I don't want to waste my time. And then the yeses, I'm expecting to go make a difference in those people's lives. And so then it kind of frees you up from the ups and downs of the emotions of, well, that nobody booked today or whatever. It doesn't even matter if we just know that the right ones are going to say yes. So I always also pray, like, sometimes no's trying to come out of their mouth and they say yes and they're shocked that they said it.
So true, right?
Know how much they're going to love the product. They may have a wrong impression of what Mary Kay is. They don't even really know anything about it, but they don't think they like it. And then when they get it on their face, just like when I got it on my face, I'm like, I wanted every single thing she put on my face, and I was reluctant to say yes. You know what I mean? And so I just know they're going to love the product when it gets on their face.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, let me ask you a question. Because of the option now that we have virtual and we have in person, how would you use that script to give them the option of?
Yeah, so you could say, your friend so-and-so is giving you a free makeover, or you could just pick 10 people. I'm giving away 10 virtual or in-person appointments this month. I would love to pamper you. You could get to share it with your friends, with up to 6 women. Would you like to do it in person or virtually?
Okay, perfect.
And so, you might change the number if you're going to offer mostly virtual, because when I do virtual, like Facebook parties or Zoom parties, I'm wanting to invite, 20, 25 people.
Right.
So kind of takes the limits off. And actually my in-person appointments now, I'm setting up a Facebook group at the same time simultaneously, because we know not everybody invited will be able to come in person. And they also have family and friends all over the United States. So I have them do a Facebook party at the same time, and we go live in the Facebook group at the, in-person one.
Love it. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
So when you do that, are you sending out a packet of samples so they can follow along, or are they just watching?
Well, I've done it both. The one I did recently, we did it on Zoom, and I did packets. And so she worked downtown, and I was like, okay, I can mail them, or do they work with you or whatever? And so most of them worked with her. So I took them to her and she gave them to everybody instead of mailing them, because they were coworkers.
Right.
But I've also mailed them too. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great idea. I love adding the event page. That's a great idea.
Yeah. That works really good.
And we just had Linda Tupin here.
Yes.
Which you guys did too. Ours was a spinoff of yours. And she launched our new hostess program. So I'm super excited, because this is perfect timing with us launching we actually have a virtual hostess event, and we have an in-person hostess event now. And both will be coming up in the fall. So we have a couple of months to, really get some hostesses. So this is perfect timing. Can you share what you're doing for your hostesses, or nothing? Because you're like, you've won a facial and with up to 6 friends or whatever. Are you offering something additionally? Or how are you doing that?
Yeah, I've had a hostess program I've used forever, and I kind of, let me get to my file. I created it because I'm like, I want something that I'm excited about, and it's basically 100 free when you party with me, but so they get 25 for holding it, 25 for 5 or more friends, 25 for $200 in sales, and 25 for 2 bookings. So it's pretty simple. Kind of the same, yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So I just tell them you share with up to 6 of your friends, and you can add on there. I didn't want to say it because I didn't know what you were doing.
Right.
Say share it up with 6 of your friends, and you get up to $100 in free Mary Kay.
Okay.
So yeah.
Perfect.
I like a hostess program. They work hard because they want to get the product, and it gives them incentive to do all the things you want them to do.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I've been doing the 80-for-40, which is another option, but they know what I use. So I like for them to have, another option as well. And my last 2 parties, the last few weeks have been really great in sales, even virtually. So I feel like we can give our hostesses some extra incentives because people are ready to buy.
People are ready to buy. They are. Yeah, and
Yeah.
everybody needs skincare. They're on
Awesome.
screen all the time, right?
Okay. That's right. That's right. Absolutely. Anything else you'd like to share before we close out?
Okay, so I have some questions that if you like ponder them and really think about them, it can bring a good breakthrough. Okay. So name one barrier to your career or personal life. What is that barrier? So know what that barrier is, because if you don't identify it, you can't change it. So sometimes it just really helps to identify what that is, and if it's a made-up barrier or if it's a real barrier that you really need to master. Okay. For me, like when I was working the corporate job, it was a transition of about 6 to 8 months where I was working a corporate job and working Mary Kay 15 to 20 hours a week. So it was like so stressful.
Yeah.
I was working a lot. Maddie was little. And so like I would leave work, come home, have dinner, go do an appointment. I was doing at least 2 nights a week an appointment. And then Saturdays, like 2 or 3 appointments on Saturdays, because I needed to do it fast. But it's silly, some of the things that really bug you. So if I came home, like worked all day, had dinner, went to do an appointment, came back, by then it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. If I came in and there was dishes in the sink, I felt like a failure. Like my life is falling apart. I can't do this, right? That's just the stupidest thing. The living room could be a disaster with toys everywhere. And as long as Maddie was happy, if she was in a diaper and running around the room or whatever, I was fine. But if their kitchen was a mess, then I felt defeated. So the simplest thing is like, honey, would you do me a favor? Would you load the dishwasher before I get home? Because mentally it kind of makes me go crazy. And he's like, yeah, that's easy. You know what I mean? And so as soon as my whole career, the kids knew on meeting night, they had to clean the kitchen and load the dishwasher. It's like the simple things that you can fix, that, take away.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be even rational.
Right.
But for me, it was real.
No, I totally get that, because when I was in DIQ, I was pregnant with Maddie, and my Maddie, and she was my second child. And I remember actually sitting down with my director, and the biggest thing was I felt like I was spending so much time on food prep and cooking, but I still wanted to be that wife, like I wanted to, contribute that way. And I remember I still have the recipes that she gave me, and like ideas, like she was like, just cook a ham and then you can like eat on it all week long, and just simple things like that, the things that our brain does, And I was thinking about that this weekend with Linda Tupin here. But you're so right. Those little things that we need to just break down. And I know we have a few girls that are, really considering moving into car qualification, becoming directors. And as they transition from, a regular job into part-time, or if they go from, just more activity, there is going to be some transition time. So it's really great to like think
Yeah.
about those things. And I love that you shared.
Yeah, that's so good. Okay, emotional fear. If you had a fear that was kicked out of the way, what would you do? So if the answer is you become a sales director, then it's like, okay, so what am I afraid of? You have to identify it, because if you aren't aware of it, then you won't ever change that. And so if you identify what that is, it can help you move that out of the way. Like that's silly. I remember I wanted to become a sales director, and I had the stupidest thoughts. You might laugh at me, but maybe you had it too. I thought, oh, I can't do a newsletter.
No, I totally understand.
It won't be as good as Cheryl's. Now this was back when you had to like copy and paste stuff and all that.
Right. No, I totally understand. Mm-hmm.
But we all know you can hire someone to do that. If that's not your gift, pay someone to do that for you, and it's no big deal. And you just tell her what you want, and it's takes all this pressure away. So sometimes we have these thoughts that are like, okay, we can figure this out. Or even if you just verbalize it to your director, help me come up with a solution. This is holding me back. I don't even know why. Okay, the next question is, you have a tape that plays in your head. What does that tape say? So it may say something like, well, you won't be as good a director as your director. You know what I mean? It's so funny how we have this thing, or I'm not going to be as good at Mary Kay as she is, or whatever. And it's usually something so stupid. And you're like, I don't have to be like her at all. I can be myself. I'll find my groove. I will have mentors in my life, my senior, other directors, other nationals that are more my style, that I can find my rhythm. I can go to other meetings and observe how other people do stuff and create it my own. I don't have to do it just like my director did. I can, have great respect for her, but not try to be her. You know what I mean? And so I think it just gives us freedom to know you can be yourself. You will be equipped along the way. I think sometimes we want to be totally equipped for everything before we take the step. And we're like, no, you get equipped along the way, just like you did as a consultant. You got better and better along the way. You think about your first party till your 20th party, how much better you got, it'll be the same. Stepping into whatever position you step in, you're going to be equipped along the way. So just know that.
That's so good. So good. Yeah. I don't think mine are worried about not being like me, because they see me screw up all the time. So they know if I can do it, they can totally do it. I would say that's probably most of the way they feel, but but it's okay. We all have our giftings. You're so right, and I think sometimes we do allow that to think, oh gosh, I can't do that, or whatever. So that's so good.
Yeah,
I love it. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your time. I love doing life with you. I love hanging out with you. I can't wait to come back to Tulsa and hang out again for sure. So, all right, everybody, I am going to stop the recording.